I want you to take a good look at your surroundings. Pay very close attention to the things around you. Now, close your eyes. If you're indoors, do you remember what color the walls are? Do you remember where the lights are? If something in your surroundings were to change, like the texture of the ceiling or the position of items in front of you, would you notice? We like to believe that our memory and perception form true snapshots of the world around us. But upon closer inspection, we begin to see that they are just fragile fabrications constructed by our brains. On today's episode of the Natural Sciences podcast, we will explore the nature of our memories, perception, and the brain. Memory is something that we rely on each and every day. On a basic level, we use it to help locate our keys and to remember computer passwords. However, on a more fundamental level, memory plays a key role in our personal identity, beliefs, and behavior. Without memory, we wouldn't have any real connection to the things we've accomplished, the events we've experienced, or the people we love. 17th century British philosopher John Locke argued that personal identity, or the self, is founded on memory. That is to say that your memory is what defines you as an individual over time, not your physical body or soul. Nonetheless, even though we trust our memories to form our beliefs and identities, our memories themselves are highly error-prone. To talk about this, we are interviewing Dr. Agatha Cage, a psychologist at the University of Michigan, about the nature of human memory. So what is memory and why is it important?
That's a good question. At a basic level, memory is just the way our mind stores and remembers information. However, such a basic definition would understate its importance. We need memories in order to get a basic grasp of the world around us. Memories tell us who we are, the things we've done, and our goals in life. It's difficult to properly convey its meaning to us as human beings, so instead I'll explain it through the story of a man named Scott Bolzan. When Mr. Bolzan was 46 years old, he had accomplished a lot in his life. He attended Northern Illinois University on full athletic scholarship and played football professionally for a few years after graduating, even briefly playing for the New England Patriots. After an injury that ended his football career, he then became an entrepreneur. He owned and operated a financial planning firm and then became a pilot and ran a successful private jet management company. During this time, he also met and married his wife and raised his 2 children. However, in December of 2010, he had a workplace accident and lost all of his memories leading up to that point. When he had awoken from the hospital, he didn't even recognize his wife of 25 years. In an interview with ABC News, Mr. Bolzan described the experience as just being lost because he lost who he was. Events such as his first date, his first kiss with his wife, his wedding day, the birth of his children, he had absolutely no recollection of and no emotional attachment to. He was unable to remember any of the important people in his life, his parents, wife, kids, friends, and relatives. He lost the know-how and ability to run his company. He's quoted as saying, "Because I have no concept of who I am as a person, I don't know what my dreams, my aspirations, what my goals were." Imagine this happening to you. If you lost your memories, you would lose everything that makes you, you. The things that you've accomplished, the relationships you've built, the knowledge that you've acquired, and the formative events that shaped who you are. When we think about what it's like to live without our memories, its importance in our lives becomes much more clear.
Mr. Bolzan's story is quite compelling. It seems as though memory is incredibly foundational to our own personal identity. Yet we are sometimes told that our memories can't be trusted, that they're unreliable. Is that true?
Yes, it's more true than most people think. Research has shown us that memories aren't these static snapshots of the world around us. Instead, they're more like malleable stories about the past. I'll go over some well-known research in criminal psychology that demonstrates the fallibility of our memories. The first experiment I'll talk about was conducted by Professor Elizabeth Loftus and some of her colleagues at the University of Washington. The setup was pretty simple. Researchers showed participants a video of a car crash. Participants were then asked one of 2 questions. The first was along the lines of approximately how fast were the cars going when they hit each other. The second was approximately how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other. Despite the fact that participants saw the exact same video, the participants that were asked the second question claimed that the cars were traveling significantly faster than the participants who were asked the first question. A follow-up study showed that when asked a few weeks later whether there was broken glass at the scene, the participants who were asked the second question were far more likely to say that there was than those who were asked the first question. There was no broken glass in the video. This study shows that memory is highly suggestible. What we think is objective truth about what we have observed is actually what our brains reconstruct and create on the spot. Another series of studies looked at ways to take advantage of errors in this reconstruction of memory, otherwise known as confabulation. For example, these studies investigate memory implantation techniques that make participants believe they experienced events that never took place. In one such study from psychologists at the University of Bedfordshire, researchers were able to plant rich, false memories into 70% of participants. These memories included things like committing a crime or getting attacked by a dog. All of this implies that our memories aren't just fallible, they're exploitable. Our brains are capable of just making up stories about the past and convincing us that they're true.
So, we've established that memory is fundamental to our experiences and identity. We've also established that memory is highly error-prone and flawed. How do we reconcile these 2 points? How do we know what parts of ourselves are real and what parts aren't?
Ultimately, we can't know. Our understanding of ourselves and of the world is fundamentally flawed. In criminal psychology, there is a well-known case of a woman we call Jane Doe. Initially, her case was used as well-documented proof of repressed memories. In 1984, when Jane was 6 years old, she was interviewed about sexual abuse allegedly committed by her mother. The evidence included marks on her hands and feet that resulted from her mother burning them on the stove. 11 years later, though, it seemed as though she had completely forgotten about the incident. Upon viewing the tapes, she vividly remembered the incidents and believed that her mother had abused her. Most experts to this day don't believe that she was lying. 8 years after that, the report was brought into question. New evidence emerged against Jane Doe's claims. The marks on Jane's hands and feet seemed to actually be the result of a skin infection. Investigators also found 2 pieces of evidence which called the story into question. The first was a report from a clinical psychologist at the time which suggested that the story was confabulated. The second involved documents from a Child Protective Services investigation in which Jane's mother was not found to have committed any such abuse. Furthermore, they found evidence that Jane's father, who was in a heated custody battle with her mother, was abusive towards her brother. Today, most experts agree that the abuse likely did not happen and that Jane's false memories came from her father's suggestions when she was young. The consequences of this had huge effects on Jane's life. To this day, she's unsure of what is true and what isn't. If our core memories that shape our identity and relationships with others can just be incorrect, what does this say about us? Could we just be an entirely different person than we believe? Jane Doe is quoted as saying, "What are we if not our life experiences?" If we are to believe that those memories are as fallible as some researchers want us to believe they are, what does that leave us with? What are we doing here?
Breaking news coming out of Torrid County, Wyoming. Police are looking for a missing 12-year-old child named Timothy McCullough, who authorities believe is in danger. He's 5 feet tall with short brown hair and blue eyes. He was last seen wearing a blue t-shirt and gray shorts. Torrid County police say that he may have been with his estranged father, 37-year-old John McCullough, who has recently escaped from prison. If observed, please call 911.